Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. How are you? Is that too loud? I feel like, Anyway, apologize if it's too loud. Welcome. My name is Professor Kasomanakis. I'm the business coordinator of the Business Society. I also teach here at Queensborough, those of you who don't know me. So I'm glad that you can all attend. Before we start the meeting, I just have one announcement to make. We're going to have another meeting on a final one for the semester on email etiquette. And right on the board, hopefully you can see it, is our website. You can reserve under reservations for next month's meeting, and that's going to be held on April the 24th at 1 o'clock in the same room at the same time. So I hope you can make it. It's a really interesting meeting. We had the speaker come again because he was so great. So basically he's going to be talking about the proper email practices and protocol. So I hope you can attend. You'll get a lot of value out of it. All right, so it brings me great pleasure right now to introduce to you Professor Christina Manzo. She is an accounting professor at Queensborough Community College. She teaches the introductory and advanced courses in accounting. And before she came to Queensborough, she was an administrator at your college, I believe, right? Bursar. And she also had quite an extensive work experience in the banking industry as well. So it brings me great pleasure to introduce you again, Christina Manzo. Let's give her a nice hand of applause to welcome her and for taking the time to be here to talk to you about ethics in the workplace and in the classroom.
Okay, so I'd like to welcome everybody here. As Professor Kasomanakis said, my name is Christina Manzo. I teach accounting here at Queensborough. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about ethics in the classroom. We're supposed to have another guest speaker, which was going to be my brother, and he was going to talk about business ethics, but unfortunately he couldn't make it here today. So I'm just going to do my piece and talk a little tiny piece about business ethics, but I'll mainly talk about ethics in the classroom. Okay, so what we're going to discuss or talk about today, we're going to first talk about define what academic integrity is. When we talk about ethics, we're really talking about what we call academic integrity. So first we're going to define academic integrity. Then we're going to see why it's important for us to have academic integrity. Then we'll talk about academic dishonesty. We'll really look at some examples of academic dishonesty, so we make sure that we don't make those dishonest habits that we shouldn't have. And then we'll look at some proactive strategies so that you can avoid being accused of any type of academic dishonesty. And then we'll look at the consequences, basically, of dishonesty. Okay, so let's first talk about what academic integrity really, what it is and what it's all about. So if we talk about it, let's talk about it. We want to talk about it from the perspective of a classroom. And why are all you guys enrolled at Queensborough? Somebody tell me, why do you go to Queensborough? And, I hope you have some reason for being here, don't you? Okay, can somebody tell me, why are you enrolled at Queensborough? What's the outcome that you want? Or what's your purpose of being here? Nobody has an opinion? Daniel, can you tell me? Why are you here? Not here, but why are you in Queensborough? Because it was cheaper? Okay. Okay, that's a good reason. Yeah. Yes? Okay, so school accepted you. Okay, but what's your purpose? Why did you want to go to school, or why did you want to go to the cheapest school? Huh? I heard something? To get an education, right? You wanted to get an education, you wanted to learn something. Okay, so that's the main reason that you come here. So what you want to do to learn something, you come to a class and you sit in a classroom and your instructor teaches you something in the classroom. And then usually what the instructor will do, they'll give you something such like an assignment, maybe to do a homework assignment, maybe to do a research paper, or they may even give you a test, basically, to see how much you understood what they taught you. Okay, that's what the basic is there. So then my role as your instructor, then is to take whatever you give to me, and I have to grade it. Right? So I look at it, and my grading is really going to be based upon how much you understood what I taught to you, okay, or what your level of understanding was going to be. And then what's going to happen is if you can show me full understanding, I'll give you an A. Okay, if you show me maybe partial understanding, you may get maybe a B. You don't show me any understanding whatsoever, you may get an F. Okay, but that's what takes place in the classroom. That's all the things that's taking place in the classroom. Is basically I'm giving you some information and I'm testing you to see what you've gotten from that information. What is your level of understanding? Okay, so when I grade it, when I look to see your level of understanding, I base it upon 5 fundamental values. Okay, and these are the values of academic integrity. So the first thing is I base it upon trust. Okay, so my first value is going to be trust. And what's going to happen here is that if you think about it, in any human relationship that there always has to be some level of trust, okay? Because you don't really want to be associated with somebody if you can't trust that person. So we want to first start off with trust. And trust is really going to be like a mutual exchange, okay? I trust you, you should trust me. So from my perspective, I'm looking at your work, I'm trusting that you're giving me the work that you actually did, okay? And you're demonstrating to me what's your level of learning that's going to be involved here. On the same level of trust, I'm also looking for, we're also looking for honesty, right? So we can't, if somebody is not honest with you, you're not going to want to trust that person, right? So I also want to look for a level of honesty when I'm looking at your work. So we want what? Honesty in our learning, we want honesty in teaching, and we also want honesty in our research. Okay, another value that we're looking for is fairness. Okay, we want everything more or less to be fair. So if you're all sitting in the same classroom, you've all learned the same topic, okay, and we all are on the same fair level of what it is that we're learning. Okay, so we want there to be fairness. So again, when we start looking at other areas of academic integrity, if somebody maybe is cheating or maybe somebody is submitting something that's not their own, that fairness is no longer going to be there. Okay, so we also want to have some sort of fairness involved. And then, of course, we want to have respect. Okay, so there should be respect where you should have respect for others, and you should also have respect for yourself. Okay, and that will be demonstrated, of course, within a classroom setting. And then, of course, there is responsibility. Okay, so we want to have some sort of responsibility where basically you're responsible for doing what you think or what you know is right. Okay, so you want to have that type of responsibility. So when we talk about academic integrity, it's really going to be based upon these 5 values. So now that we understand what academic integrity is, let's just first look at what would be some violations of academic integrity, because you want to make sure that you don't violate academic integrity. So going to our academic integrity policy at Queensborough, and if you're not aware of it, if you go onto the website, Queensborough has an academic integrity policy. And if you look on there, they list some of the violations of academic integrity. Okay, so one of the first ones they always talk about is plagiarism. Okay, does anyone know what plagiarism is? Mm-hmm. Very good, right. So it's taking somebody else's words, somebody else's work, somebody else's theories, and presenting it as if it's your own. Okay, so that's not something you're supposed to do. Okay, so what you're really supposed to do, if you can, of course, if you're doing a research project or something, yes, you can, you're going to do your research, you're going to be reading up on a specific topic. Yes, you do want to get other people, look at other people's ideas and maybe help you to formulate your idea, or maybe you can even borrow it, but you have to indicate that where you got this information from. Okay, so what we call that is you need to cite your information so that people will know where that is coming from. Okay, so you don't want to copy somebody else's information and attempt to present it as your own. And if you do copy somebody else's and you're going to quote it and you're going to cite it, you have to make sure that you always put it into quotations, so to indicate that the words are somebody else's words and they're not your own. Another form of plagiarism also could be is if you were working on an assignment. Let's say that you and one of your classmates got together and you decided to work on an assignment together, and two of you worked on this assignment. You ended up basically with the same answers, and then the two of you turned these in as 2 separate assignments. Okay, that's also considered plagiarism, because really and truthfully the work was not of that individual person. If it was not a group project and you handed in each as an individual, that's not considered plagiarism because you were copying from each other. Okay, so that would be a violation also of our academic integrity. Okay, another classic one, of course, would be cheating. Okay, and this is a big one that we always have to come across, is cheating. And what happens in cheating, I didn't give that out yet. Yeah, I didn't give that out yet. What happens in cheating is when you misrepresent that you have mastered some sort of academic exercise when you have not. Okay, so cheating, and examples of cheating, of course, would be if you're taking a test and you copy off of somebody else. Okay, you're copying off the person sitting next to you. Okay, that's considered cheating, and that's a violation of our academic integrity policy. If, let's say, the person sitting next to you says to you, you know what, we're having a test today, and I didn't study for the test. Can I copy off of your paper? And what would you say? What would you say? I hope you say no, right? I hope everybody would say no, but let's say you decided to say yes. If you did say yes, you're in violation of the academic integrity policy. So even if you allow somebody to copy off of you, that's considered a violation of our academic integrity policy. So you have to be aware of these things because, again, you don't want to be accused of violating academic integrity. Also, let's say that you're taking a test, or even if you're maybe listening to a lecture or you're doing an assignment in class, and you take out a notebook, or you take out a cell phone, or something that's not allowed in that class. Okay, that's also considered cheating. Okay, if it's not allowed in the class and you take out and use something, some sort of device, a notebook, or if you bring to class a little cheat note, little crib note sheets with you, okay, any of that can be construed or can be considered academic dishonesty and a violation of our academic integrity policy. Okay, another one last one that we'll talk about, another violation, would be academic misconduct. Okay, so academic misconduct basically is, let's say, for example, that you have a test and it's a Scantron test. And when you get the test back, you find out that you answered question number 2 incorrectly. Maybe you put C when it really should have been D. And so you say to yourself, you know what, I think I'm going to erase off C, change it to D, and then give it back to my instructor and ask them to change my grade. Okay, you think that's honest? Is that honest? Is that fair? No. So that's another violation of our academic integrity policy. Okay? Another example of academic misconduct would be, let's say that you get access to a test that hasn't been given out as yet. And you say to all your friends that are in your class, I have the test, and you pass out the test. Okay? That would also be an example of academic misconduct. Okay? Also, another thing could be, let's say that your instructor passes around a sign-in sheet for attendance, and your friend says to you, can you do me a favor and sign my name for attendance? Okay? If you're accused of that, you have basically violated the academic integrity policy of Queensborough. Okay, so what could happen? What could be the consequences of violating our academic integrity policy? Okay, so I mean, the first one, I think you get an idea because that big F is up there. Okay, so the consequences when you're accused of violating any of our academic integrity policies, it's always at the discretion of the instructor. Okay, so one of the things that the instructor can do is an instructor can give you an F for that particular assignment or exam that you were maybe caught cheating or handing in somebody else's paper or anything along those lines. The instructor has a right to give you an F for that particular assignment. Okay, and just think about it. If you get an F on an assignment, how is that going to affect your grade overall within the semester? Okay, so that's not something that you want to have happen in your classroom. Or if, based upon how severe is the cheating or the violation of academic integrity, your instructor can also give you an F for the entire class. Okay, so that's not something. You sit into a class for 15 weeks. Again, you're attempting to learn something, and you're going to end up getting an F for the entire class. That's not something that you want to have also. In addition, they can also bring disciplinary action against you. Okay, so they can report you. Part of the a violation is a record is maintained or is reported to the Office of Student Affairs. Okay, and based upon it, again, they can bring discipline action against you. So I sit on a committee called the Student Disciplinary Committee, and that's one of the things that we hear on this committee. Is sometimes if any students are accused of violating our academic integrity policy, okay, they have to go through a hearing process and so forth, and that is where disciplinary action could be taking place. And then also, if you're a repeat offender, so that's why they keep record in the Office of Student Affairs. A record is maintained in Student Affairs, and if you're a repeat offender, so if you're cheating in one class more than once, or if you're cheating in more than one class, what the consequences could be is you could be suspended from school. And keep in mind, if you're suspended from a city university, from a city university college, you're suspended from all of city university. So don't think that you can go to another college. People were saying, we come to school because it was a good price. Well, then you're not going to be able to go to another city university because they won't accept you if you've been suspended. And of course, depending on how severe the case is, you can also be expelled. Okay, you could also be expelled from the school. Okay, so those are things that we want to be aware of because we really don't want to have any problems as far as violating our academic integrity. So what I want to talk about next is what you can do, what type of proactive strategies that you can do so that you never have a problem, that you never do violate academic integrity or even be accused of violating any of our academic integrity policies. Okay, so the first thing is you should understand the importance of academic integrity. So I would applaud all of you that are sitting here today, because I would say the fact that you came here to hear this lecture is that you took the first proactive strategy, okay, because you want to understand what is academic integrity and how important it is. Okay, so that's the first thing you want to do. You want to understand what it is. And if anybody wanted to read up on it anymore, as I told you before, you can go to the website, the Queensborough website. You could just type in your search academic integrity, and you'll get the academic integrity policy will come up, and you could read it on your own if you wanted to read it. Okay, another proactive strategy that you want to have in place is that you should be aware of the rules. Okay, so the rules that I have in my classroom may be different than the rules that another professor has in their classroom. So you should always be aware of each one of your professors or what are their classroom rules. So the first place you should really look, if you wanted to know what the classroom rules are, you should look at the course syllabus. Okay, so a lot of professors, they will indicate their rules on the course syllabus, okay, or their course outline. Okay, they're going to explain to you what the rules are for their particular classroom. So what some of those rules could be. Now, if it's not on there, we'll talk a second later about how you're supposed to ask questions. But what some of the rules should be, or what you should be aware of, is like, what can I bring to the classroom? Okay, can I have my cell phone out during a lecture? Can I have my cell phone out during an exam? Can I have my cell phone out during an assignment? Okay, those are the things that you want to know. What are the rules in this particular classroom? You may want to know, one of the things I always find in my classes is I don't allow people to use scrap paper during an exam. But there will always be somebody who will pull out a piece of scrap paper. Okay? If you're not sure, ask the professor, am I allowed to use scrap paper during an exam? What is your rule? Do you allow it or do you not allow it? Again, should you have your textbooks open during an exam? Okay, some professors may allow you to, but somebody else may not. So just make sure that you always know what you can and what you cannot do in any particular classroom that you're going to be in. And also, again, if they allow you to use a calculator, you should also know what type of calculator you can use. Okay, as my students know, I'm specific about the types of calculators you can bring to class, and you should ask that. Okay, is this the type of calculator? Can I use this type of calculator? Okay, another thing you should do is develop good study habits. Okay, so if you develop good study habits, a lot of these problems, you won't have to worry about a lot of these problems. So I'm going to give out to you later on, I have a handout where I attended a seminar a couple of weekends ago where somebody compiled a whole list of good study habits that you should have. And some of the things that you want to do is what? You should mainly have good time management and organizational skills for yourself. You should keep regular study hours, okay, know when you're going to study. You should set goals for yourself, especially when you're starting to do your homework, especially accounting homework, or even if you're accounting and math, I always put them together. Even if you're doing math homework, set goals for yourself. I'll do X number of problems maybe today, I'll do some other problems another day. But always set goals for yourself so you have a good study habits there. You should always write down when you're given your homework assignments, or whatever your assignment may be, you should always write it down in your notebook. Okay, so this way you'll know what the assignment is, and you're not going to come to class unprepared, and then maybe you feel that maybe I have to cheat off of somebody else when I get to the class. You should also, take notes in every single class. That's also part of having a good study habit, is always take notes in your class, so you can refer back to your notes. Okay, and try to keep your notes neat so that you could easily understand them when you go back and you want to refer back to them. Okay, then you should also, another proactive strategy is don't be afraid to ask for help. Okay, never be afraid to ask for help. So if you are having difficulty with any topic in your class, you know, every professor, except for maybe some adjuncts, but just about every professor has an office hour. Go to their office hour and speak to your instructor and ask them to help you. Go there with a specific problem and ask them to help you with this, whatever it is that you're having difficulty with. Okay, if you can't make it to their office hour, everybody has email, you can email them. Okay, my students are forever emailing me homework problems. I have no problem with it. They send me an email problem, they email me the problem, I discuss it with them and write it back to them and tell them or give them help on how to work out the particular problem. So you can email your instructors if you need to. Another great thing where you can go to get help is the tutoring center. Okay, so I don't know if everybody in here is aware of it, but we have a tutoring center on campus, and it's free. So technically you paid for it already when you paid your tuition, you paid your student activity fees, but for you to walk in there, you could walk in, during any time that they're open. They're open in the evening, they're open on weekends, and you can go in there and you can get free tutoring. Okay, so there's tutoring in business, there's tutoring in foreign languages, there's tutoring in nursing, and just about every subject they have available, they have a tutoring available for you. And then also, I know there's a separate tutoring center for the math department. Again, that's free. You can go in there and you can get tutoring. And then also, we know what, in a way to avoid plagiarism, plagiarism was when you're writing your papers and so forth, we have a writing center, okay, a writing center that you can go to that's free. Okay, so never be afraid to go ask for help. Never be embarrassed because you have to go ask for help, because it's always to your benefit when you're going to go to ask for help. Okay, and then another one is don't tolerate any dishonesty among your fellow students. Okay, so I know this is a hard one, but if you do see somebody cheating, okay, it's really your responsibility to let somebody know that that person was cheating. Okay, so who should you let know? You can let your instructor know. It doesn't mean you have to raise your hand and jump up and down in the classroom while it's taking place. You can come quietly to your instructor later on, okay, or come to their office hour, send them an email, and just let them know. Okay, because again, you don't want to tolerate it, because what's going to happen, it erodes those 5 values that we're talking about. Because if somebody else is cheating, then the fairness is gone. Okay, we no longer have that fairness that's in there when the grading is going to take place. All right, so those are just some of our proactive strategies. And then I want to say to you, well, why is this all important? Why is this important to us? Why do we have academic integrity policies? And if you go to any other college, or if you go to their website, you would find that they would have an academic integrity policy too. Okay, so the first thing, which I mentioned to you before, it's unfair. Okay, if you were going to cheat on a test or cheat on an assignment, it's unfair to the student who didn't cheat. Okay, it's unfair to the student who actually sat in there and put in the time to study. So the number one thing is that it's going to be unfair. Because that other person, the person who cheated, in a sense, their grade is going to be enhanced, but it's not really going to be reflecting what they understand. Okay, so we know that it's going to be unfair. The second thing is that it violates that trust. Okay, there's always that trust. As I told you, there's that trust between the instructor and the student. If you're cheating, then that trust is gone. Okay, and it violates us having that trust between each other. And then the most important thing is that it undermines your learning. Okay, so the whole idea is you came into college basically to learn something. You came in here to get a degree. So if you're cheating, or if somebody else is cheating, you're not really learning what you came in here for. And it stunts your learning. Okay, because you're sitting in a class, you're trying to learn something, but if you're going to cheat, are you really learning anything? No, you're not really learning. You're not learning or taking what you came here for. So it's going to stunt your learning. Also, it's going to diminish the value of your education. Okay, so if people think if you go out into the workforce and you come from a college where maybe it's known that people cheat at this college, then the value of your degree is not going to be as important as it was if you were in some place where we know that the academic integrity policy is followed strictly. And if you think about it, when you graduate from here, you would hope to go on and work in the business world. And there have been studies that have shown that people who cheat in school, you learn all your values basically from your growing up, your life, going to school and so forth. And those values that you learn, you basically bring them into the workforce. And it's been shown that people who are not very ethical in school years are usually going to be the same people that we see don't have ethics when they come out into the work world. When you come out into the work world, again, people are looking for people that have those 5 values. They're looking for somebody who's trustworthy. They're looking for somebody who is honest. Okay, they're looking for somebody who is responsible. Okay, so if you have a background where you know that you're not having all those key values, you may not always be as successful in the work world as you would like to be. Okay, so what I always let me just jump quickly. If we look at some of the people in the news, okay, look at some people in the news who are unethical, we know we had Lance Armstrong. Okay, so Lance Armstrong, he won 7 Tour de France's or something like that, and everybody was cheering him and behind him. Okay, but what did we find out? What did we find out about him? Was he really this great winner we thought he was? No, he wasn't, okay, because he was unethical. Okay, so I can't prove it, but I bet you he cheated while he was in school, okay? Because these people basically, they carry it over. So, and it disgraced him. So this is what he may look like today, okay? Back there he was happy, okay, and he was cheering, but today, okay, he's not that happy. Because what? He He lacked trust, lacked honesty, and I have to say he had no respect for himself. Okay, to do something like that, that's definitely a lack of respect. If we take it from the business world, the most famous one we always know in the business world is, who is that? Everybody know who that is? Yeah, Bernie Madoff. What did he do? What was his Ponzi scheme, right? What did he do? He told people that he was making money for them. He took their money, okay, and he wasn't really investing it the way he was supposed to be investing it. Okay, so that's another way, again, we see we don't want to have dishonest people. We don't really even want to work with dishonest people because we don't know what that effect is going to be. And we said what? We want to have that trust, and that trust is built from working with people that are honest. So what I want you to take away from here, basically, is that you should know you want to maintain for yourself, you want to maintain those values that you learned that are the basis of our academic integrity. And you also want to maintain academic integrity whenever you're in a classroom. Okay, so just always remember those proactive strategies that you want to keep or use, so this way you yourself can always be maintaining your academic integrity. Okay, thank you.
Okay, if you have any questions, you can come on down and ask the professor. So we hope to see you all next month on the 24th, April 24th, on email etiquette. So sign up for it on the website. And hope everybody has a great afternoon. Thanks for coming again.